Hello, fellow cyborgs, and welcome to a book haul. I recently spent a weekend in my sunshiny hometown, and whilst I was in the United States, where them books is cheap, I may have acquired some things. So here I am today to share with you my stack of a literary haul. It's right over there, and I want to touch it. So without further ado, I shall. So the first place that I went to splurge my money was at my local comic book store and purchased Saga Volume 4, which I have not read yet. And so I'm really excited to read that. I'm going to reread Volume 3 this weekend, I believe, so that I can catch up on what our heroes have just been up to, and anti-heroes. I mean, I ain't judging. The next volume I picked up, or the second volume, the last volume, there's only two, because I had showed restraint and bought a board game, is Pretty Deadly, Volume 1 by Kelly Sue DeConnick. This is amazing. It's one of my new favorites, hence the purchase of it, even though I've already read it. It kind of reminds me of Firefly in that it's western-y, but done in a really elegant way. There are no spaceships in here, but it definitely is like an alternate history western. That's how it felt to me anyway. But this has beautiful artwork. Flashed ya. This is filled with mythology and stories, the power of stories, and also death is one of the characters. And I love me some fiction that has death as a character. If you have any recommendations for novels, graphic novels, what have you, that has death as a character, I already know of like the Terry Pratchett, East of West, The Book Thief, Keturah and Lord Death. I know of those. So if you have any other ones, please let me know, because I absolutely love reading a story that has death in it. As a personified, not. I mean, George R. R. Martin I love, and there's death in his books, but he doesn't have clothes. Beautiful artwork. So it's wonderful, and I loved it, and so much so that I needed my own copy, and now I have it. Then the next fantastic thing that I did is I had a gift certificate to Barnes & Noble's. My friends were going with me, and I said, hey friends, would you mind picking out a book for me at the bookstore? Something that you would gift me, but instead of having to spend your own money, I'll pay for it with the gift card, because I really just am not inspired myself, and I would love to get more gifts from you guys. Made me think of you. And so of course they all panicked, because they're amazing. They're all just anxious little introverts, but they eventually did it. And so I'm going to show you what I got. So first we have this Star Wars book, Heir to the Empire, and this takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, which is the third movie in the first trilogy. So the ones with Han Solo and Han Solo. That's all you really need, really, right? And this was picked out for me by my really nerdy, geeky, kick-ass friend who obviously adores Star Wars, also runs like 10Ks and half marathons. She's amazing. So she picked this out for me. She's been telling me, and I've been asking her opinions, like, where do you start in the literary Star Wars universe? So now I have a physical starting point, and I'm excited to read this guy. The next book is Serafina by Rachel Hartman. Seamless transition, I knew her name. This was picked out by my very sweet, very introverted friend who lives about 3 weeks behind everyone else. That's her natural like turtle pace, but it's just absolutely adorable. She wanted to get me a adorable young adult that I was really excited to read, and she picked Serafina. I didn't nod my head vigorously or anything in the aisle with her. And I really love this cover edition with the purple and like the copper patina, you know, like old copper, how it, like a bad, like an old penny. Whatever, I think it's pretty. I could have just said mint. This I've had my eye on for a long time. From what I know, it is a book concerning dragons, where dragons can go into human form, which I'm immediately like, oh, that sounds so good. And there's a lot of court politics and dragons not having the same rights as people and stuff like that. And I think there's some cuteness in this, so I'm very excited to read this. I want to read it soon. It's going to be happening. And finally, the volume that my best friend for livesies picked out for me. She's this adorable little like 1940s fashionista trapped in the modern world who's super artsy and just amazing. She picked checked out Nimona by Noelle Stevenson, and this is a trade collection of this webcomic series. And I haven't read the webcomic, but it so reminds me of the artwork of Adventure Time. I don't really watch Adventure Time, but I can appreciate the art style. It's just very definitive. I haven't seen it a lot, so I really liked that breath of fresh air sort of art style. But turns out Noelle Stevenson wrote Lumberjanes, and this is a comic book series for young girls, and it takes place in a summer camp, and it's all about girl power, and then I think Bigfoot comes in at some point. I haven't read it yet. I have it on hold at the library. They're being very slow of getting it to me, but I'm intrigued with Noelle Stevenson's work. I feel like this is going to be very awesome. But just like, it's so pretty. Look at the prettiness. Next up are books that I pre-ordered a book and then had to buy more books on Amazon CA to qualify for free shipping. You know how they hook you in. It's amazing. They do such a good job of it. Those actually got delivered the day I returned. Didn't even have to wait for these guys it was just a convergence of awesome on the doorstep when I arrived and they were there. I pre-ordered Mamrie Hart's book, You Deserve a Drink, and I did this mostly because it was just like $10 or $13, and I think she is a really awesome lady, and I think she's a hoot and deserves to be supported, and so I thought, yeah, I'll give you my $13 just so that you can continue being awesome. And also, I'm morbidly curious about the deeds and doings that go on in this tale of debauchery. So, yeah. Book Ninja. I ordered Gemini Cell by Mike Cole. I have not read any of the other books that he has in the Shadow Ops universe. He has a trilogy, I believe. This is a kind of like prequel. It's a standalone. I'm a subscriber, listener to, or patron of the Sword and Laser book club, podcast, video show, book publisher, etc. They're amazing. Go check them out. I'll link them down below. And they have author interviewed Mike Cole twice. He is the most eloquent and thoughtful man, human even, that I have heard speak in a long while. Mike Cole gives me faith in the future of humanity. And I want to reward the people who give me faith in the future of humanity, because it is oh so easy for me to just swan dive into the black hole that is an existential crisis these days. So, Mike Cole, Gemini Cell, I'm excited that I have supported him, and I'm really excited to read what has come out of his imagination, since I've so enjoyed what has come out of his mouth already. And I'm talking about words. Is there anything else that you can be excited for that comes out of someone's mouth? Just think about it. Comment down below if you come up with something that you would like to see come out of someone's mouth. Like physically, not just words and idea. You get it? Okay. All right. And lastly in that shipment was Android Karenina. I had previously ignored this series of books, which started with Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. It takes classic literature and it rewrites them with a funky twist. It seemed kind of cheap to me, so I wasn't really interested in reading the series until now, because Anna Karenina, like I said, I feel like it's going to have a special place in my heart. I feel like it has significance to my life. I'm going to be reading Anna Karenina very soon. And then Android Karenina, oh, I love steampunk. And if this doesn't look steampunk to you, I don't know what will to your face. And also androids and the idea of like, what is humanity? What is personhood? What is identity? Do androids have rights? Are they real people? I love that conversation so much. So I hope it'll just be a fun ride with androids and steampunk, and then a little bit of ridiculousness. If you have read any from this series, please give me your comments down below. Were they worth it? Were they fun? Did they make too much fun? What are your thoughts? Those were the books that I acquired. And now, without further ado, I'm going to roll into my June TBR, because most of the things I'll be reading in June were in this stack. So I'm going to show you the first two things that I'll be reading in June, as they were not in the stack that I previously showed you. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. How amazing of a name is that? And The Republic of Imagination by Azar Nafisi. And these two were lent to me by a new acquaintance I met at the Calgary Expo. And we talked for 10 minutes And then a month later, I was recommended these books and they were sent to me, which was so sweet and thoughtful. Everyone knows about this one, except for me. I haven't read it. I'm going to read it. I feel like I'm going to enjoy it. I feel like it's also going to be a fast read since it has a lot of photographs in it. And this one, in the front flap, it says it is a memoir and polemic. I had to look that word up. I'll insert the clip of me doing that. What does polemic mean? Polemic. Oh, a strong verbal or written attack on someone or something. Oh. So this is nonfiction-y, and it is about introducing literature to Iran, which is very censored and not Western. So these are the first two that I'm going to be reading in June. And then another volume I'm going to be picking up very soon is going to be Saga Volume 4, because I've waited long enough. After that, I'm going to be reading these three with priority because friendship. And then finally, this is the next priority book. So this stack of 7 bounded works I'm going to get through, period. Just not even, it's happening. Thank you for sticking with me throughout that blathery, long 2-for-1 video. I hope you found some of the picks that I showed you to be interesting and perhaps going on your Goodreads to-read list. I hope that you get to read some lovely books that remind you of friends and family this month. Thank you for watching, and until next time, continue to be lovely. A book haul, book haul music, really intense for no reason, dance hands. All right, hope you enjoyed that. I am not ready, includes that, English is apparently not my first language. It's news to me, but you know, you learn something new about yourself every day, then you're just learning stuff every day. So blathery.